Last time you were on, I remembered one thing you said, that when Bitcoin takes off, it will be like Moses for gold and open the floodgates for gold and that.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
So if Bitcoin were to go to 100,000, where should gold be?
I'll tell you, okay, let's talk about that. Okay, so in my view, and I don't know if everyone shares this view, but gold has a problem because you have a tremendous amount of paper gold out there. Naked short sales and all that stuff that goes on that keeps the price from really moving to the upside. There's whenever gold gets to that $1,300 level, you'll see hundreds of tons for sale on COMEX, right at the morning there, and they just bang it down. Like 2 or 3 years worth of production, they just sell in the open market. They don't have that. Gold doesn't exist anywhere. They're just flooding the market with non-backed, non-collateralized paper sales. That's naked short selling. Under Reg Show, that's illegal, but Reg Show it's not tightly regulated. They don't reconcile trades at the end of the day. They say we'll get to it next week or next month or in 6 months. So there's a huge gap between when they're supposed to reconcile these trades and when they actually do. And in that gap, there's a lot of abuse. And that abuse comes with banging the price of gold down in ways that do not reflect the genuine price discovery between buyers and sellers.
So what's the real price of gold and silver for you? What should
it be? The real
be?
Price of gold right now, if you look at the chart, there used to map perfectly as the debt was growing in the U.S. The price of gold was sticking to that debt accumulation. So for the past 5 years, you saw the debt was continuing to go higher, and the gold price was flat. So now if you were to go back and say, okay, if it should be reflecting the fundamentals here, then the actual gold price should be in $2,800, $2,900 an ounce right now. That's where it naturally should be if it were not being manipulated to not move.
And silver?
Silver is, it's always, if you look at the silver gold ratio, what is it now, 70 to 1 or something like that?
85.
Okay, 85 to 1. I think over the long term, it's more like 30 to 1. So if you do that number and extrapolate those numbers, you come up with a silver price.
I'm not going to ask you for a timeline for your 100,000 Bitcoin because I know you said timeline are for losers.
Well, I mean, it's silly to try to time, a move like this because, like, for example, people are with Bitcoin at 3,300. People are saying, "I'm going to time it and buy it at 2,000." Yeah. And now it's 7,000, and they're like, "Oh, why did I do that?" It's you just own it, stack sats, just stack sats, satoshis.
So you would suggest get in here.
Just stack sats. I mean, in the gold community, they say, stack gold, stack silver. Just stack it. Every day. Jack Dorsey has an app called over at Square. He created Square. He's got his Cash app.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Every day you can put a few bucks into Bitcoin every single day. Just stack sats, stack satoshis.
Max Keiser on the economy. Do you believe the numbers?
Yes.
We're seeing this robust GDP and everything's great. Yay.
Well, no, right? Because GDP is not a very good number to as a reflection of the economy, right? Because we know that the government doesn't want to pay adjusted living cost increases to pension accounts and other funds, so they have to keep pretending that there's no inflation. So to get to that CPI number and the deflator number, they subtract stuff like housing and they subtract real, healthcare. So the government says the inflation's at 2%, but we know that it's closer to 7 or 8%. If you add stuff that you actually buy, like healthcare where I am is skyrocketing. Education is skyrocketing, and people are being squeezed. The purchasing power of their dollars is going down. Inflation, if they were to bring out that inflation for real, they would have to say, you know what, we got to start raising rates, actually, to accommodate for this, because, and then that would, of course, collapse the bank's balance sheets, and then Jamie Dimon would have to go down to the Fed down in Washington, D.C., like Jim Cramer would do, and stand outside and cry, we want more money, we want more money. And then the Fed would be like, oh, James, we love you, you big baby. Don't cry, James Cramer, Jamie Dimon, don't cry. Here's some more, here's another $5 trillion, okay? Shut up, right? That's what runs the economy. A bunch of crybabies. You know, raise rates, raise the cost of financial terrorism, and get away with financial terrorism. If the cost of committing massive fraud at JP Morgan is zero because the cost of my borrowing is zero, Jamie Dimon's not going to stop. He's going to continue to take 90 cents of every dollar he steals and give 10 cents as a fine. Right?
Would you consider going into politics?
Why? Look,
You make the change,
the
right?
nation state is dissolving thanks to Bitcoin. Okay, the nation state, the political units of politics as we've known them is all changing because now you have a global unit of account, medium of exchange, store of value, where the trade is the settlement. When I trade with you in Bitcoin, it settles when the trade happens. There's no third party. There's no trade plus 3 days. There's no back office. It's just you and I trade, and it settles instantly, and it's transparent, and it's audited every 10 minutes, and it's completely open source.
And one of the arguments that always comes back is what happens, and it's already happening, with governments regulating more and more Bitcoin.
They can't. They can't regulate it. It's like just when Brad Sherman, the representative from California, came out last week and said that we need to shut down the cryptocurrencies because it's interfering with the dollar as being the hegemonic force in the world.
Right.
It's cutting into the oil industry. It's cutting into our ability to wage wars on a whim without having any accountability. And that was a huge advertisement for Bitcoin. You know, you can't stop math.
No,
you
but you're seeing banks penalize firms and institutions that use Bitcoin and say, if you're dealing with...
You don't need a bank. We can transact without a bank. The bank is there to secure funds and to settle funds. If I'm dealing directly with you, I don't need that bank. In Africa and those other countries that don't have banks, they're leapfrogging ahead because they don't need banks. Okay, now banks are fighting a rear guard action. They're looking back and they're saying, we're going to, shut you guys down. You know, how are they going to, they have no way to do that. You can't stop gravity, you can't stop math, you can't.
You're just in Bitcoin, right? You don't touch Ethereum, Ripple, any of these others?
No, because there's nothing any of those coins can do that Bitcoin can't do now or will be able to do soon. There was a period where the development of Bitcoin was too slow in the minds of some. So people like Roger Ver and others decided to fork Bitcoin and create what they consider to be the true Bitcoin. But now Bitcoin is cannibalizing those coins. It's eating their lunch. It's just like a monster. It's like a black hole. Everything's going to be gobbled up into Bitcoin. All the other altcoins, all fiat coins. That's how the strength of their weakness is what drives this thing to 100,000 and beyond.
I could talk to you forever, Max Keiser. But actually, before I let you go, there is one question I have for you.
What?
Because you are, Max Keiser, also interviewer. You do what I do. You interview people.
What do I have in
I told you I had a deep question.
I got my Bitcoin pen.
I love it.
I've got these glasses.
No, the question is, who...
Let me put on my deep thinking glasses. There, now I'm going to think deeply.
All right.
Going to think deeply now.
Let me face you. Who is one person you'd want to interview, alive and dead? Okay, let's go alive first, and don't say me. Oh. Because I'll come on your show.
Definitely Paul Krugman, because I want to know how he became such a frickin' asshole. And I'd want to know.
Okay, now I have to take out the beeper.
Right. Just put in the beeper on that one. Paul Krugman, how did you become such an idiot? Were you dropped on your head as a kid? You seem to know nothing. That Nobel Prize is like meaningless. Everything you say, it's almost. I mean, the guy
He's not going to come on the show now with you saying that.
He's never going to come on the show. He's going to this.
Never say never.
He's going to this.
He won't.
Anyway. Feynman, the scientist, his last name is Feynman, or who's somebody who's not with us anymore who I'd like to interview.
Yes.
Or Buckminster Fuller, one of the finest minds of our last 100 years, an engineer who thought globally. Everything he did, he thought in global terms. That's what Bitcoin's all about. It's all global. And Buckminster Fuller anticipated the mindset of Bitcoin, if not the technology. I would interview him and put him on a pedestal, right there with Satoshi.
Yes. You're keeping his, you know who he is, Satoshi?
Yeah, I
you?
do, of course.
Okay, but you're not going to pull a John McAfee, right?
John McAfee is an arrivist to the Bitcoin space. He's not really a credible source in this industry, in my view. And he knows nothing. But I know who the actual Satoshi is.
And we're going to go see him right now in this
We're gonna
Kitco
go see
exclusive.
Satoshi right
So
now.
stay tuned.
We're gonna get completely
We're gonna break
naked.
the internet.
We're gonna jump
No,
into a hot tub.
we don't have-
and we're gonna
It's not
put
naked and
blindfolds
afraid,
on, and I'm
it's-
gonna introduce you to Satoshi. Is that too
Meeting
much
of
to
two worlds.
ask?
Look at this. Gold and Bitcoin living
Together.
Together.
Look at
Max
that.
Keiser, high five.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for watching. We'll be back, I hope, tomorrow.